When I first started learning Japanese, I had no idea where to begin. So naturally, I turned to YouTube to see what other people had done before me. I heard other language learners recommending apps like Duolingo, Memrise, Lingodeer, and Japanese Pod 101. I was super eager to get started, so I went and downloaded all these apps and tried them out. I also knew I wanted to be able to read Japanese as soon as possible, so I picked up some paper flashcards from Amazon to begin learning the 2 Japanese syllabaries. After a couple months of this app-focused study approach, I stumbled onto Gabriel Warner's book, Fluent Forever. This turned out to be a big turning point in my personal Japanese language learning journey. After reading his book, I tried out the Fluent Forever app. I used the pronunciation trainers in the app to improve my ability to hear the specific sounds of the Japanese language. Next, I followed Gabriel Warner's instructions for how to build a custom study system in the spaced repetition app called Anki. He provided a 625-word vocabulary list that he suggested new language learners start with. In addition, I used the kanji learning resources on University of Chicago's Kanji Alive website and made cards from those as well. After about 4 months of following the instructions in the Fluent Forever book, I was ready to begin working with a Japanese language tutor. I used the platform italki and found a tutor who was willing to help me with conversation practice, as well as one who would help me with textbook-focused study for the Japanese language proficiency test. I worked with these tutors for about 12 months. At that point, I took a moment to look back and evaluate my learning progress so far. I had learned quite a bit, but my velocity was not quite as fast as I had hoped it would be. At the time, I had been reading about another language learning approach called Refold. Refold is an immersion-focused language approach, similar to how a child learns their first native language. I decided it was time for something new, so I followed the instructions on their roadmap, as well as some helpful YouTube content I found. In this new study process, I spent a lot of time immersing in native Japanese content. This meant listening to podcasts, anime, and even using helpful beginner reader apps like Satori Reader. In December of 2022, I took and passed the JLPT N5 exam. Shortly after, I noticed that my velocity was beginning to slow again, and remembered that changing up my routine had helped the last time I ran into this. So, for the next 8 months, I took my favorite parts of the Refold language learning process and combined them with my favorite parts of my previous Fluent Forever study process. This meant I worked with a tutor on italki, going through textbooks, and at the same time, I listened to podcasts and anime, and even read my first Japanese language manga. In December of 2023, I took and passed the JLPT N4 exam. For the next stage of my language learning journey, I'm going to be moving to Tokyo in April of 2024 to attend Japanese language school. I plan to apply all of the language learning lessons that I've built up along the way, but I'm sure there are so many new lessons to learn ahead of me. Now, some of these specific language learning tools might not necessarily work for you, but the most important lesson I've learned in 3 years of studying Japanese is to remember that language learning is a journey. There is no one best study routine or tool that works for everybody. I've had the most success when I've taken the time to look back and analyze what's working for me, to swap out tools that are less effective or just not interesting, and add in new things that I'm excited about. By building a daily study habit that I look forward to, I'm able to continue to learn every day. This has made a big difference in the amount of Japanese that I've been able to learn on my own while working full-time in a different job. If you have your own language learning approaches that you've really enjoyed, please feel free to share some in the comments and we can have a discussion. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time.